Hi guys, welcome to the Pinia installation video. In this video I'm going to install the Pinia into my Vue.js application. So before this I'm using the Vuex, and Vuex released updates are now paused, so there is no update will come in the future. So that's why you need to move to the Pinia, because it's supporting both Vue 2 and Vue 3. With the option API syntax and the composition API syntax. So let me open the Pinia documentation here, how you can install the Pinia and why we should I use Pinia, right? So as you know that Vuex is used for the state management, and then this one is also used for state management. And here there is a popular things comes in that you might thinking that you already share a global state using export state reactive, right? So you in the composition API we are using reactive properties, right? So this is one is describing that if our each component is already reactive, so we can pass the data through those things, right? Like we can pass this through reactive property and it will be available into the other components. So why we should need to use this Pinia, right? So because we don't want to mess up things into all components. Like I want to handle the state, right? I want to handle the login state and I have 15 components. So why I need to call into every component that is my authenticated state is set, so then I'll take action. So I will set this globally and then call this into the 15 components, right? So that is the way. That's why we need to use Pinia to maintain the states, and we can do multiple things from this one. And this Pinia, as I told you, that support to the option API syntax and the composition API syntax. And in this series I'm following the composition API. I'm basically upgrading from option API to the composition API. If you are not familiar with this one, you can watch this complete videos. It's around 5 to 6 videos. Okay, and now let's come here, and first we need to install this. And this one is the syntax of option API, and this one is the syntax of how we can call this. And then the other thing is how you can use this in the composition API. It's a lot shorter and gives you more control. Okay, and now I'm going to move further to the getting started and install this. So the command is very simple: npm install Pinia. Just copy this and go to your here I'm going to open a new window here and just type npm install Pinia. So it will install the Pinia for us. So let's go here to the documentation back again, and then it's telling us that how we can initialize this into our application. So now let's move to the here app.js, where we are using this store, right? And I'm going to use this same file, right, which I'm using this one, index.js, right? I'm going to use this same file but with my own configurations, where I'm going to remove everything from here, right? Okay, and it's throwing the error couldn't resolve undefined. It's throwing that conflicting undefined while undefined Vue 3. I don't know why it's throwing this out. Let me go back here. What's my store? Okay, let me clear this out. Now I'm going to use this npm install Pinia, and I'm going to add a force flag here, so it will install the Pinia forcefully, right? We are getting issues related to Vue.js version, so I'll upgrade it later on. So just type this force and let's see what happened. And yes, it's now processing. And yes, now it's installed successfully, right? It's installed. Perfect. Now I'm going to run this back again, npm run dev, and this store logic, I'm going to remove everything from the store, and here I'm going to write my own logic, right? And I'm going to call this here in my store, right? So simply go here and first work on that store, right? So as I told that after the installation you can click on this first section, go back, and then this section is representing that how you can use this into the setup API. So just to copy everything from here, or I'm going to basically create this for you, maybe you will be a little bit confused, so I'm going to type this everything. So here I'm going to say first I need to import the store at the top, so here I'm going to say import define store from Pinia, and after that after that I'm going to create the store. So export to constant, and I'm going to name this whatever we can name this. So the recommended way is to to type use first, use, and we are using authentication auth, and I'm going to call this store, use authentication store, and then I'm going to say call here define store, and then this accept first parameter the name of our store, I'm going to say auth, and then second would be the arrow function, okay, like this. And here we can create this similarly as we are doing this here for the option API. You can use this syntax too, but I'm going to stick this to the composition API because I'm following this option API to the composition API. So just create this here, everything whatever you need. So constant, oh my god, I lose the everything what I have in the previous store, so I'll instantly cover this here by copying it from here, so I don't need to lose this, right? So I'm going to cut this here, I'm going to say send to the Sublime, I'm going to paste this stuff. Okay, perfect. Now let's copy not this one, just to copy this thing and then close this one. I'm going to say hey, this one. Okay, so here I'm going to create two variables. I think I need these two variables, so just say token and is authenticated. Perfect. So I'm going to say token, and then token would be the ref. I'm going to say empty, right? And then another one is I'm going to say is authenticated, and then this would be the ref, but this would be comes false, right? By default it would be the false. And then whenever I'm going to get the state, so I'll call this function. So I don't need to call these mutations, that's so much saver. And then we need to implement this check user authentication, right? So I need to copy this logic. So here I'm going to say function check user, let me copy this, right? Check user authentication, this would be the longer name, right? So here we need to write our logic, right? So whatever we are doing, we are sending our request on the servers. We don't need to modify anything, it's correct, already correct. And here we don't need to commit this, right? We need to update this. Here I'm getting this response.data, so I'm going to say hey, update my authentication state. So whenever I'm calling this is authenticated, so I need to call this value property to save the value there. Okay, so I'm saving this, so whatever status I'm getting, I'm saving this into the is authenticated state. Perfect. We did this, and now I'm going to create another function for token and for the authentication status, set authentication status, set auth token, right? So similarly I'm going to say I don't pass this comma anymore, function set auth status, right? And then I'm going to say the similar thing again, so just copy this and I'm going to make this set auth token, right? So let's make this token here, and here I'm going to accept the status from here. So just type this status, so I'll tell you that how we'll get this status. And then I'm going to say is authenticated dot value equal status, and the whatever token I'm getting this, I'm going to say token dot value equal the whatever the value I'm getting it from this parameter, right? This token. Perfect. Okay, now let me see that what else is there here. Here I'm basically setting the token and then setting the item in the local storage. So let me also update it here, set the item in the local storage, something like this, and then okay, so I'm basically doing those things and then implementing the logout functionality. So let me implement the logout too here. So function logout, right? And then I'm going to copy all of the stuff and then later on I'll move to the next one. Here I'm going to say remove the token, delete the Axios request. So before this I'm going to after that I'm going to do that to how we can set their state. So we are setting these to reset token. So reset basically we are making this empty token and then is authenticated equal false. Here I'm going to say is authenticated dot value equals false, right? And then token dot value equal empty, right? We can do something like this. So now this will make this logout, and what else we need is let me check that what else we need. We need the getters. So I'm not going to define the getters. We can access the properties directly. I think everything is there. If we need anything else, I'll get this probably. So save this one. So we are using this same store, and now I need to get this store here in the app.js. As we are using this similarly we are using this for the Vuex. I'm going to do this not the same thing. I'm going to basically first use the use my Pinia, right? So how to use the Pinia? So I'm going to say import create Pinia, right? You can import this from the Pinia, and then you can create an instances of this one. Pinia equal create Pinia, right? Something like this. And then when you want to use this, so you don't need to call this store, you can call this Pinia, right? So now our application will use this Pinia, right? This Pinia, and then create the instances. And now if I want to use this store in my application, like I'm using this in the login component, let me go to the login stuff, and I'm going to say here I'm dispatching those things, right? So I need to use my store. So I'm calling this use store, right? This one. And how I can call this, right? Because here whenever I'm calling this use store, so I need to get this from not from the Vuex now, right? So I'm going to get this from the file which we did this changes here, store.index. So I'm going to say just go one step more back and then call this store and then index.js, right? So whatever I changed here, I'm basically integrating this out, right? I'm integrating this from use store and then I'm calling this store. And here how I can call this, so I can call this first to setting the token. I can call this auth store, I think I named this, yeah, or just store, yeah, just store dot to set auth token. And I missed one thing, right? So whenever my functions are completed, I want to return the properties which will be available into whenever I'm calling the store. So here I type return and return what? So I'm going to say return this method logout, and then other method would be set auth token, and then set auth status, set auth token, and then set auth status, and then last set authentication status, whatever the name is, check user authentication. And then I'm going to also return two more properties, which is authenticated and the token, right? So save them one, and we can use this later on. So let's now go here and I'm going to basically set this. So here, as I call this set to auth token, so I need to call this similarly, and then it will accept the token here. So whatever the token I'm getting it here, I'm passing this to this one, right? Stored auth token, and I define this set auth token, right? Perfect. And similarly, I'm going to do this for the store.set auth status, right? And then I'm going to pass this, so whatever the status, I'm getting it here, and remove this stuff from here. Perfect. Set auth status. So just give it a save and go to your application and give it a try. Where is my web browser? Okay, it's there. Okay, it's definitely throwing an error. So what's the error is request module index.js provide an export name use store. Use store. And if I go back to my code, here I'm using this at the top, use store, and in the I say export contents use store, and I need to call this right here. So I'm calling this here. I need to call this, right? I'm getting this from, basically I'm importing this file and then getting this export stuff, right? So I need to get this, and then I need to call this similarly use store, something like this. So just give it a save and try it more time. Let's get refresh, and still I'm getting this request module store.js export. Okay, now I need to call this also in the other places too, because this one is rendering this store, so I need to replace everywhere, right, in my applications. Let me do it very quickly. So here I did this, and then we need the in the store in the router. So just go to the router, and the router I'm using this store, right? So I need to similarly I need to call this as I did this in the login. So I need to call this, so I'm copying this for the saving the time, and then whenever I'm calling this property here, so I need to just call this store dot here I can get the is authenticated, right? Something like this, store dot is authenticated, and then I'm passing this to this one. So just to give it a save, and it's throwing the error is yeah, because our path is incorrect. Now if I go here, so now I'm in the router, right? So whenever I will go back from this router, so I need to directly go to the store, so I don't need to change two directories, I need to change one directory, right? Before this I was in different file. So make sure whenever you are copying something, so it would be work according to I need to also call this use store too. So I'm going to say use auth store. I need to create the instances first. So I'm going to say constant to store equal then this use store, something like this, store dot is authenticated. So let's see what's going to happen here. I think type cannot properties of undefined reading state. Okay, so where we are reading the state, so we are saying store dot is authenticated, right? So oops, where I'm getting this error is, and I'm getting this in the app.js. So I need to also do this same for the app.js. So where I need to go to my this master component, which is using same thing into everyone. So here I'm basically importing this store. So I need to say use store, and then I'm going to say import it from the store, and whatever the store is index.js, right? So I'm getting this, and then I need to call this use store, and I'm using this store, and then I can directly say here store something like this, store dot check user authentication. So I don't need to pass the any parameter. I'm going to say that return store dot store dot whatever the value is. I'm getting this is authenticated, so I can directly get this is authenticated from there because we are returning it from our store. So if I show you here, let's close this one. So I'm basically returning this is authenticated from here, right? So I can instantly do this here, same, and then do this same for store dot token too, store dot token, and whatever else I'm using, I'm dispatching it here, right? So let's say store dot to log out, something like this without any parameter. Save this one and let's give it a try here. Let's get refresh to see what's going to happen. Ref is not defined. Yes, it's correct. If I go to my this store, so I'm using this ref, right? So I haven't to added this at the top, so let me add this. So import ref from where? From Vue, not the ref2. Save this one and let's see what's going to happen. And yes, our login page is back. We are using a lot of stuff from this store in multiple components, so I need to complete this stuff first. Okay, I'm going to say mix in and then click on this login, and I'm getting this another error is respond.status 402 define. So I'm getting the error, and let me see what's the error. So I need to print that error. Close this one, and I'm getting this router. So I think I already updated this router. So I need to console this error, console.log whatever the error I'm getting, this print this. Okay, just say mix in, click on this login, and it says let me see this in the console, cannot create value on string. Okay. Let's go to the store here. So basically I'm using this token as a string. There is no issue, but the issue is whenever I'm getting this token, right, so it's understanding that this one is also the same token. It's setting the value there, right? So I'm getting this token and it's using it here and here too. So we need to name it differently, right? So I'm going to say auth token, something like this, auth token, and wherever I'm setting the value, I'm here setting the value auth dot value, and then this will send this value to here. And whenever I'm clearing this value, so I'm going to say auth dot value. Just give it. And last thing is not the least, here I need to also save this. And then let's go to the web browser and check that. And by the way, I have set this here from this AI. I got the help from there, and let's go here and let's see. And yes, there is no error. If I say mix in, click on this login, and yes, perfect. Now I'm successfully able to log in. My Vuex state is also set. If I give it a refresh, and then is it sending my request on the set user authentication status, give it a refresh, and yes, it's everything got back rather than this login, right? So whenever my state is working fine here, whenever I'm checking this state, if this state is set, so I want to check that if response dot to data dot to status, right, data dot to status equal true. So I want to redirect this to the dashboard, right? So I need to first import the router at the top. So I'm going to say import to router. I'm going to use router to call it something like this. So I don't need to import this. I'm a little bit lazy here. Okay, router, and then I need to call this router. So I'm going to say here constant router equal use router, something like this. And I need to also use this same, right? I name this here. So I'm basically pulling this use router from this router, and we installed this earlier. I'm going to call this now router directly here. So let's say router dot push, and similarly I'm going to pass this a name of my route, which is dashboard. Save this one and let's get refresh, and it's instantly back on the page, right? So let's say I want to now visit the login. So let's see what's going to happen. Login, hit enter, and perfectly we are redirected back on our home page. And if I go here and click on this logout, and let's want to visit this dashboard, so it's not authorizing us to login, right? To visit the dashboard, just click on this login, and yes, we are logged in, and we are not able to visit this login page. It's redirecting back on the dashboard page because we are logged in. But go here and let's say I want to now visit the login page, so it will now allowing me to visit the login page. So in this way we upgraded our whole application from option API to the composition API. So I'm very sure that it's give you some perspective to build your application using the composition setup API, right? It's a lot simple and gives you more flexibility to write your code in your own way. So I'm going to also cover the next stuff. I'm going to build the more application using this composition API, Laravel, and Vue.js. So if you are looking for the new tutorials, give it a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next series. So thank you so much guys for watching the whole fun. Bye bye guys.